Hello everyone and welcome to today's analysis. I'm Toby and we got the fourth game day, the final game day of week number 2 at hand. 5 games to be played, or 5 games were played on Sunday, and let's go through them. So let's start off the bat with a game number 1. Hey Hayes, hey Rambly, welcome guys. And let's get right into it. And we see the first circle and pause. Let's see. Anything on our radar that doesn't look the way it's supposed to? And today my monitor decided that the middle screen cannot do a display capture. So it's not that I don't want to look at you. You know, like when you have that one guy that stares right next to the camera? It's like, look me in the eyes when I'm talking to you, man. Come on, look me in the eyes. It's so annoying when that stuff happens. But nonetheless, that's why I'm looking at another place when I'm doing this stuff today. But yeah, not a whole lot of surprises here. Everyone, again, this lobby is so old now that everyone is pretty much with very few exceptions, like not guaranteed, but agreed on who goes where. Seems like M19 they've opted to not do their graveyard wide split anymore. They've gone further down south. Makes sense to me. Now they have the circle. And one thing that's interesting with this one is that you have Los Leones dead center. Normally we talk about how you want to take center control to get into the best spot, but because it's Los Leones and we know that people don't like to go into cities, things are a little different. You have areas around Los Leones that you could go to. You have the mountain side down here. You have the mountain line down here. It's pretty much actually all the mountain sides that you can go to over here as well. And then sure, you can sit in the outskirts of the city, but I don't think anyone really wants to do that. So city center is obviously not a place you want to go unless if you're there from the start. We'll see how teams rotate on down. Pretty easy rotations coming in for everyone. Sure, you don't want to drive through this right here unless if you're knights, because they started there. They stop up. You see the stop, scout. Look, make sure that there's no one in Picado any longer, and then they'll make their way on down. But what this does with no one being in the actual center itself is that it forces everyone further out on the edges. So once that next circle comes, should it go center again, it becomes that much more difficult. Or should it go to one edge, there are already more teams on either side than you would normally have had the circle gone anywhere else, because more teams obviously would be in the middle. But a lot of teams coming in from the north. Obviously it's a southern circle, so as expected, plenty of room down south, like a lot of room down south. And the circle now goes somewhat north of Los Leones. This is also a tricky point because, again, city is here. You don't want to go into it, which means you have to go up and around, or over and around on either side. This whole area here is like a huge, not open field, but somewhat open field. So it goes back up north of the city, and you're pretty much entitled to go all the way around. But open field here, Picado here, cliffs here. Like, where do you go if you're on the west side to get to a center position in this circle? Honestly, a good rotation, and it might look weird, but a good rotation for FaZe, for example, could be to just say, you know what, go all the way south and come in from the other side. Only issue by being over here then is that you have this area up here, which is like a big open field. There are compounds up there, sure, but that's about it. You have Minas, La Bendita. It's just, I mean, it's a really rough area to play from. But fortunately, I guess you can say, the majority of teams were north of the city coming into the previous circle, so it's not the worst. FaZe, they're still down in the corner, probably hoping that something else happens than this circle's being where it is. Red Diamonds, they're forcing a fight with them. Interesting. Fighting down here. We have 3 teams that committed into the city, and the rest of the players are going up north. Fuzz by himself jumps on a bike. More fights happening for no reason. Circle goes, well, pretty center once more. And again, still, Los Leones, not the kind of place you want to be in. But as you can see, most of the teams that are inside the city have positioned themselves on the northern side. So they don't, I mean, they don't want to fight their way through the city. They already did that by running up north earlier. So they're trying to get themselves into a spot where they can easily leave the city when they're going to. But you can see how many teams and how many players up here. Ratio Edge still with a 2-2 split. They want to have control of the road. That makes perfect sense. And they can cover each other well from these two spots. Ends, they have the high ground position in the middle, like the big plateau up there. Circle now. Holy hard shift. Okay, so we're going north. La Bendita. I mean, for anyone sitting on the inside of La Bendita right now, that's like a god spot where you can see everything. And I think that might be where Miracle and Galaxy wants to go up. But we'll see. Oh, no, actually, yeah, maybe they would want to go up there. Seems like Miracle at least does go up there. And that's phase gone. Yeah, that's this is a rough circle. Pretty darn rough circle. TSM, they have a good spot on the foot of the mountain. Everyone else, this is the issue, right? Because you have this road here. You have the road here, and that just becomes dead man's land. And even worse is the fact that over here, I mean, realistically, what do you have for cover? We'll just do it around here, actually. And then we'll deselect these two. This entire area, it probably takes up 15-20% of the circle, and there's no cover. There's no cover. That's gonna be a rough one. Yeah, I mean, they came in from the north. They knew they were coming in late, and that's the issue, right? Because if we go back for a second, if we go back here, NIP, they came down and they couldn't rotate further. That's what we were talking about. And that's what's so funny when we do like the whole butterfly effect thing. How one, I know it's not exactly the explanation of what a butterfly effect is, but how you have one thing that determines what the next thing does, that determines what the next thing becomes. And because, I mean, I'm sure that TSM, they probably would have gone more center if they could. But because, I mean, had this circle been anywhere else in the map, right? Because this circle has Los Leones in the middle. Imagine this. Ends, had it been anywhere else, right? Ends, they would have been sitting here instead. CC would have been sitting here instead. That means that TSM could have been sitting down here or here somewhere, right? But because we talked about in the beginning, because there's no one in the center, everyone is forced further out, and that means they never could leave. And of course, when they see that second circle and the third one as well, fourth one too, they never had to leave. So why would you, right? But we're back here where we were before. A ton of players in the bottom. Hey, emojis. Ton of players in the bottom, trying to figure out what they're gonna do. TSM, they're sitting up north. Galaxy and Miracle, Miracle's just trying to get some info, I think, and Galaxy's out on the edge. Circle goes, well, not fully committed north side of the road, but this area down here is pretty much unplayable. I mean, it's a big downhill towards the road, and everyone's able to see you. Now, this is a little misleading, because I do believe that the top of La Bendita, trying to think back here, I think the top of La Bendita is actually still below where the road is. So this area here is higher up than La Bendita is, or at least like somewhat level with it. So it's not on the map alone. It seems like TSM, they're up on the mountain and they have like full vision on what's going on down here, but they actually don't. I'm pretty sure they're sitting like they're sitting down here, and the road and stuff is like not up there, but somewhat above it. So they don't have, as you can see, they aren't really just tapping away at everything. They're just playing a safe position on the back. Vitality crossing over, it makes sense. Playing the arch, they don't want to get caught on the other side of the rope when there's so many teams down there. Ratio edge, still two guys on each side. Oh, okay, so they go up to finish. And then the circle, once again, centers up. NIP forced out and away from the crater. He'll be running on out. Jansen takes a center spot. Again, still open field around here. Like the entire western side here is a big open field. Let me see. Let us analyze for Haze. For those of you guys who don't know, Haze is oftentimes here. I love it when he comes in and joins in on these talks. For those of you guys who don't know what Haze means when he says we could have won, because as Haze isn't on on the map. So it's like, well, is it like where you're a Manchester United fan and when you win a game, it's we who won? No, it's because Hayes, he is a Hayes is the analyst and coach for the Vitality team. For those of you guys who didn't know. I just hate it. I mean, I have so many friends in Denmark. They're like 2 football teams in Copenhagen. And whenever we go to a bar or anything and like they've played a week ago, yeah, we won the football game last week. And I was like, oh, did you start playing football? I didn't know you were into sports. No, it was on TV. And I was like, no, then you didn't win anything. The team won. You were watching it. But I mean, I guess if you're a fan, then you won it as well, kind of. But let's see what happened with Vitality here, since Hayes says that they fucked it up. I guess for starters, I don't know if they let Jokers cross or if they didn't know they were there. But I think what happens, and correct me if I'm wrong, because we only have the map stream to talk of. Vitality is focusing on, because they know that there's been fights going on between Windstrike and Knights up here. And they know that it's outside of the circle. So they're trying to keep them off from getting inside. Again, we talked about how all of this is like a big open area, right? So you guys are probably prioritizing keeping out Knights rather than securing not to get backstep from the other side of the road. Shitty timing on the peak. We couldn't hold Jokers because CC were holding our angles. Yeah, okay, so that too. Makes sense. Jazza goes for center spot. Makes perfect sense, but that leaves the team in a one-man less position. That's a word now. Or sentence. Nasus goes down. Again, open field, nothing you can do. Jazza by himself. Yeah, that's an unfortunate way to lose that many players. He goes down too, so 5th place. I mean, still top 5 is good, but I understand what you're saying. When you have 4 guys alive in circle 7, then you want to get more than a 5th place. Especially when you have a spot that you can actually play from. But I know what you mean with Crowd holding one angle and they pushed in from the other. NIP still in it somehow. I mean, honestly, that's pretty impressive. If you look at it, sure, they've been, I mean, to me, it's a skill as well. And I know people kind of just say, oh, but you're just hiding, blah, 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 blah. But to me, it's a skill to be able to not fight. I mean, to constantly reposition yourself, because you can see Miracle is shooting down towards Knights, right? So it's not that they don't know where they are, but to be able to constantly position yourself so that you don't have to fight anyone, that's pretty impressive. Miracle continues further down, or up, I guess, technically uphill. What does Jazza have to play? In the middle, small dips and maybe a cactus. There's not a whole lot there, or anywhere around. TSM, 3 guys up. Ratio Edge, they try to... Okay, so Ratio Edge, they go up here. They have Snark on the other side, and he finishes 1. So they commit up to try and take off CC. But they allow them to push underneath, and all of a sudden, they're the ones being gatekept. That's a pretty... That's not a smart move, in my opinion. I think they over-aggressed on it. And sure, I mean, that's the thing. You cannot really sit here and get cover, right? But they should probably, because they had the position down here, is to push around, sit in here, and hold them off from here rather than try and push out. Like, because they push out to fight them, they come in on the other side, and then all of a sudden it's Ratio Edge who's on the outside's position. It's a really smart move from Set. Just says straight in. Cover Magic goes down. Rest comes in. 2v2v2 now. Roy trying to go on over. Gaxi goes down. One more down and CC wins. It's always like this. I don't know why. Oh, yes, I know why. When you have these situations, the team that gets the third party, like 90% of the time, they're also the ones that wins the game. Because right now, Miracle has taken damage. Gaxi is knocked. And there's just, I mean, you have such a big advantage. Where you can just come in from behind and start spraying at people. Not only are they half HP most likely and have to reload, but you also get the first couple of shots before they get to react on it. A good job nonetheless by CC. I mean, they probably didn't get that many kills this game, but they rotated wisely and they kind of let all the other teams fight for them. Gotta give credit to that as well. It's not all about going out and being crazy, fragging out monster guy. So that was game number 1 of day 4. we'll jump into game number 2. Solo replay. Doink, doink, doink. Let us see. They wanted to run out of the buildings to get cover from Nasus and Jazza. Monkey. Check the angle, and then both ran out. No one was holding the angle, but then they ran out. Joker peeked, sprayed down both of them. Yeah. He used his heart for cover. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. In any case, that was game number 1. Game number 2 coming your way. And that is where, again, I would love to have the ability to just jump into any game and fly around and see it. That would be so amazing to be able to do, for the sake of anything and everything. Eastern Circle, I feel like we've seen this circle approximately 9 billion times before. But again, interesting things to keep in mind. We have talked about this area earlier. It's difficult to play around if you don't have one of the compounds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nobody gonna sit down there early. But one of these 4 areas. And because of La Vendita, which you cannot just drive through, teams are forced to either go over or below. But because they know the vitality is up here, it gets very risky to go above, which means that for all these teams that are out here on the west side, this would be an area that would fit in a lot of people. Actually, maybe above Minas as well. This would be an area that would fit in a lot of people early on. And of course, with Las Leones in the picture as well, teams that want to go east have to go either south around or, well, potentially all the way north over. You don't have to go all the way around this, but you could probably come in up by, like, between Vitality and G2. Come in up here somewhere. So let's just fast forward it a little bit and let all these guys get rotated. Vitality split out. Makes sense. Everyone trying to make their way in around or below La Bandita. You could use the... Oh yeah, true. But am I allowed to do that? I'm not sure. I remember one time, sure, it wasn't Starlight, I think it was PGL, where I wanted to go in depth with a fight that there had been in a game, and I went onto the stream, like the VOD, to watch it back while I was doing analysis of it, like pausing and starting and pausing and starting. And one of the guys reached out to me and said that I wasn't allowed to use their stuff on stream if it was for like uploading to YouTube purposes. I don't know if it was me that you were talking to. It was probably emojis, but yeah, that's still a thing. Because I would like to do some more actual, like, fight analysis too, but it's pretty tricky to do when you can't get the VODs, and when you can't get to fly around on your own. You can only watch what the observers are showing you. Everyone's centering up somewhat. Again, everything at this point is taken down here. Circle though, going north this time around. This is just I don't like this area. For end games at least. I mean, you have the whole, well, pretty much like this. This whole area up here, to me, is a hellhole to have a finish in, like end game in. It's a big, for those of you guys who don't know the terrain itself, it's a big, pretty much a big downhill towards the road up north. Like it's all going this way, right? And it's crazy open, first of all. And the teams, like, this is really one of those spots where sure you can win the games if you don't get the circle, but every time you take a fight, you're gonna get fifth partied, either up close or from a distance. I mean, it's so open and it's just so impossible to really get anything done. The only way you can really consistently win fights up here and games is if you can finish those fights within, realistically, 15 to 20 seconds. And that's a lot, even. Hey, Blamus, that's a lot. So, yeah, it's like, I don't even think I'm getting paid on YouTube. You know how you can do like the whole view thingy. I don't even know how it works. I just upload videos there. But technically, if I got paid from like views and stuff and ad revenue, I would get paid for material that they had produced. So that's the tail of it, or the hook, the catch, whatever you say. New circle, Minas Generales, Graveyard, and La Bendita is where we're going. I also love that this is just called Graveyard. You know what I mean? Minas Generales, La Bendita. I don't think Graveyard is actually Graveyard. What is a graveyard in? Cementerio. Oh, I knew that. I knew that. Cementerio. Okay, so this would be Cementerio. Because everything else is Spanish, right? I mean, military base, Campo Militar. That's Spanish. And Valle del Mar, Puerto Paraíso. Everything is Spanish. But then you have graveyard and water treatment. I don't know what treatment is, but water is agua. So that could be... I don't know. But Cementerio. It's just like, why do they do half of them in Spanish and the other half in English? It's kind of misleading. I think so. Junkyard. Yeah, junkyard as well. Junkyard, that's true. I forgot about that one. Yeah, exactly, Hasten. There, I don't bother spending time doing stuff just to have it removed. So, but nonetheless, it's a Minas circle, and as we know, La Bendita not where you want to be in, but you can sit on the edges. For those of you guys who don't know, which probably most of you do, this whole area, I want to say over to around here, around the compounds. Like this whole area here is a very, very open sort of valley where you just do not, you just don't want to be in there. Same thing going as we talked about before. Everything up here is hard. This is a big open lowland area. So as you can see, all the teams are pretty much crammed into here and here. And sure, then you can have the team up in the compound north, but that's pretty much it. And then the compound south. All these three areas, like I've marked with red, I mean, they're so difficult to play from, and you can see immediately once CC goes into it, they're gonna start taking fire from Jokers. If Knights wanted to, they could start going up on the hill and spraying at them. So really tricky to really do anything from there. Everyone's just gonna be forced into the city itself. Now Windstrike, as long as Windstrike knows for a fact that they're the team that are the furthest north, then they can sit here on the foot of the hill and sort of make their way up. But as soon as G2 comes around, or if NIP or CC comes around, then they're gonna be so crazy exposed. West, center, west. Well, I mean, at least you guys got to go where you looted, Hayes, so you cannot complain. Oh yeah, gotta love it. People have the funniest arguments when you see a team win a game in PUBG. It's like, oh, but the game ended where they loot, so it was free win for them. It's not how it works, man. It's not how it works. So funny to try and argue with people that don't know what they're talking about. I do that often. Because I'm one of the few guys that like to try and interact with Twitch chat sometimes when I'm casting and stuff, and I get a lot of weird info thrown at me sometimes. Sometimes I'm corrected. I will not be shy of saying that. I am corrected from time to time, but also sometimes people are saying stuff that are very that is very, very, very confusing. Okay, so for those of you guys who don't know, Road, of course, is just cutting off something like 5 teams. Navi, good luck. You have to cross through the open, and you know M19 is down here. And Digital, they're just going to be spraying you down. G2, they can make their way around the north side, but they have to fight off Windstrike while they do so, and try and avoid getting killed by Liquid before they get over on the other side of the bridge. Vitality, they have a tough push to make. I guess the only thing Vitality can really do here is if they still have vehicles, if they ever got vehicles, smash them up into the, whatever you call them, oil pits thingies, and jump into them and just hope that Liquid can't hit nades. That would be one way of doing it. If not, then crash into FaZe. I mean, if they realize that they're in a 2-2 split, just send it. But then you have 4 guys, 3 guys, I think, sitting down here from Digital Athletics that could probably do quite a bit of damage towards them as well. TSM, they're sending it, and that didn't go that well. Knights, they're going up, Vitality's trying to hold off Ratio Edge. Good play, I like it. Now they get the entire side and they have to make their way. Like, either you push into the area here where 8C and FaZe have like the high ground position on you, and then you're kind of fucked. Or you try and push around, because there's like a little road going up towards the compound itself here. So you can push around, and there's like a fence wall thingy on the side that you can play from. But there are still teams down here as well. Yeah, exactly. They're in the... I like to call it Star Wars, because it kind of looks like, you know, from the old Star Wars movies in the... what do you call it? Like the snow one? Where they're like the big... AT-ATs, yeah, exactly. That was just the first thing I saw. I thought whenever I saw those buildings when Miramar first came out. So I've just always called it Star Wars since then. But I mean, I should just call them number 4, right? Because all the building models have numbers. I think they're number 4. And they have the big barn there with the 2 floors, yeah, exactly. So hard push to make. In the blue now, caught off, boom, dead. Nothing you could do. Is Circle 6 does too much damage. You cannot tank that for very long. Sure, they could have... I guess they only play... No, no, it's on the edge. They wouldn't be in anyway. Yeah, that's a tricky one. That is a tricky one. 11th place as well. That's what I hate about this point system. Look at this. Look at how much shit teams have gone through to get to this point, right? How much shit has happened. How much crazy stuff has gone down that is very, like, hard to expect people to be able to survive. And to get no placement points off of what Vitality tried to do there, to me, is like a big fat to the players. But that's just my humble opinion. Very humble. I don't like this point system too much. Especially not when it goes into situations like this. These guys are fighting on the plateau. NIP and Jokers are just chilling down by Graveyard. There's like a big, very, very steep hill here that you cannot really run up and down that easily. Now FaZe, they get a circle shifted straight on towards them. Is that what it takes for FaZe to win games? No, I'm just kidding. But they have had a rough time. I mean, honestly, FaZe are probably one of the teams that has had the worst circle log for quite a lot of games. So I can fully respect them getting a game with circles in that direction. Wind Strike though. What is up? Hayes, you gotta explain this to me. What is up with Wind Strike and circles? Like how do they actually manage to get circles? Day 3, they got so many circles as well. Now they're in here too. They are in every single late game with circles. It's absurd how many circles they're getting. Like it's actually crazy how many circles they're getting. So they need to send it into center buildings because they only get 2 players shooting at them from FaZe. Yeah, exactly. Wait, do you get to talk to them while they're playing? Do you get to talk to them while they're playing? Oh, it was okay afterwards. Okay. Yeah. I mean, if they saw that FaZe were split 2-2, because one thing is that you cannot push the Star Wars or AT-AT or whatever you want to call it building, but it's also very hard for them to peek out if you manage to get underneath it, because they can't go out the door like the catwalk, because Liquid would spot them, and you could pretty easily chill down there, like even in the bottom floor of the building. You could cram yourself into, I guess, I mean, not that you want to, but sort of worst case scenarios, right? FaZe, 1 Jokers players, and Wind Strike. And Wind Strikes win. Wait, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, guys. I want to check something. Where are Wind Strike on the leaderboards? Standings. PEL. How are Winstrike in 10th place? And this is no disrespect. Okay, I cannot say this without sounding somewhat disrespectful. But considering the absurd amount of circles they're getting, it's just insane to me how they haven't been able to get higher than 10th place so far. But I guess that's this point system. I mean, placements ain't gonna be enough if you don't get the kills with it. What do they have? 141 kills so far. It's not that they're that far behind in kills, really. Sure, I mean, it would up their points, but... No, okay, so things are pretty close around where they are. Jokers and FaZe are tied at 239. I can drag this thing over so you guys can see it as well. So we have Winstrike in 10th place, right? At 226. So within 20 points, they're all the way up at 6th. Okay, so I guess it's not that rough for them. It's just when you say 10th place and you look at how many games they get going in their direction, it's like, how the fuck does that even begin to happen? But it makes sense. It makes sense. It's pretty close. Did you see the Joker's post comparing the old and the new point system? No, I didn't. I haven't seen it. You're welcome to. You can send it to me in a private message, and I would love to take a look at it. But that was game number 2, guys. Game number 2 in the books. We'll jump. Oops, not to game 23, but to game 3 of the day. All right. So off of this circle, what is gonna happen? Ends, where are they gonna go? Okay, they're going out east anyway. I was just hoping to see them do something different. But not gonna happen. They're sticking to the schedule, and we get a northwestern circle. I'm trying to figure out, because there was a period where it was either this or this, like we saw last game. But then we also had a long period where it was all the western games, like southwestern ones. Like we had a period with literally everything happening in the southwestern corner. But yeah. Now we're getting some change-ups. I like that. This circle, though, it's an interesting one. Again, we've talked about this plateau so many times before, but that is because it is relevant. It's rough to rotate over. Sure, you can do it circle 1 if you know that there's no one around anymore. Like if you're coming in really late. But other than that, it's a difficult rotation to make. So if we go from here down to, well, pretty much for any team that aren't near already, this is going to be a rough rotation in. Don't want to go through Hacienda, so that's going to be a no-go as well. We'll extend that down to the road. Pretty much this is going to be like a no rotation zone for a lot of the teams. So I would assume to see a lot of teams go around south, coming in here either two ways. Or you could see G2 rotate up like this, but I would assume to see them actually go all the way over the top. We can try and let it fast forward, and then we can see it through. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, Blamus. Actually, I can do that now. All right. Let's see. How does G2 rotate in on this one? Vitality, they're going up over the middle. They're close. They can do that. Rye goes up. Chris goes in immediately. Navi, all these teams, they're going south. Okay, so they'll go in through the middle, and Ends goes all the way over. So, pretty correct in my statement that nobody would go through the middle. I mean, Liquid were already in, and the only team that really does it is Vitality, because they know that this plateau up here isn't rotated through yet, and they would have seen all the vehicles coming in. But we can see, other than that, pretty much everyone goes around, other than CC, and they come up here so late that they know for a fact. They can see they even stopped to scout, like on the high ground. What? Make sure that Red Diamonds have left, make sure that Liquid has left, and then they can start driving on in. Stop, scout, stop, scout, stop, scout. That's exactly how you want to do it. Let me see that link real quick. Drink. TSM would be 10th place. Wow. That's crazy. Off of kill points. That is pretty crazy. Let's see here. New circle pops, and we go back out east. Now this area is really tough to play around. And I'm sorry if some of you guys that are coming back is, if you're listening to me say the same things very often, but that's because, well, when you repeat yourself, it's normally for a good reason. It's because these things are very important to know. And this entire road right here, pretty much between El Pozo and where Knights are, is a road you never want to drive on. Because it's so far down in the valley, and it's so easy for you to get shot at from surprising angles. You have a huge open field here. That you can't really rotate through, or you can, but you don't really want to. Even though it's probably one of the flattest, actual flattest pancake fields there are in the game. There are just some hay bales around there. But that's a rough rotation. El Pozo, of course, don't want to drive through the cities. That's gonna be a no-go there. We'll just draw it in red instead. Don't want to drive through the cities. La Coparia up north kind of prevents you from rotating that far north. And then we have the whole elephant penis thing here that you can rotate into, but not really the smartest thing to do. I would expect to see CC probably go up and take a position. Maybe not in power grid. They could probably go power grid, scout, go over here, and scout further forward. That would be a play that would make sense to me. Not necessarily for CC to do, but anyone to do. M19 in phase, they're going far north. As I said, you don't want to go through La Coparia, so they're forced to go all the way around. M19, they go in earlier. They stop on Crater Field. That's interesting. Interesting place to stop. You find it hard to find a balance with the new system. I will send you... Give me 1 second. Give me just 1 second. There we go. Read it. For those of you guys out there on YouTube watching, that is me putting a link in the chat to a point system suggestion I made before Pro League started. I'll link it in the description below as well. You guys can let me know in the comments what you think about it. Digital, they're going in late. Base, they've come all the way around. Pretty much 270 degrees around the circle. And circle once again goes to the middle. Plateau, San Martinez, yikes. And you have like this whole death square up here where there's really flat. And then you have the two compounds in the middle. If this is going to end where it always does, then it's gonna end right around here. I cannot tell you how many games I've seen end in that exact spot. I hope it won't, because that would mean that I was psychic. But I've seen way too many games end there. Liquid takes the compound phase, goes all the way around to the north side of San Martin. It makes perfect sense. And everything here is just, I mean, this whole push from up the hill up here is just so damn difficult. It's practically an impossible push down the hill to make. Especially if there are teams in there. Well, we're getting closer to that green dot. Liquid leaves the compound. They know that's going to be a priority place for teams to try and push up to. Navi pushes in. They have the dip up here now, Liquid, that they can play from. So after Liquid figures out there's no one sitting over here, they know that they're safe on the western side because the compound can't spot them. So smart place, rotating out from Liquid. And also they know that the circle is going to end here like I do. Because it always does. Or does it now? No, thank you. Thank God it doesn't go there. So we'll remove that marker again. Road going through, huge downhill here. Huge downhill here. Like on both sides. And And yeah, rough place to have to be fighting from the middle there. But and I like what FaZe does here. They had the fight going on earlier, and instead of trying to engage on the teams down here, they say, no, there's no reason for us to try and do anything aggressive. Let's just run up and get into a better spot up and above. Knights go down. Liquid pushes further on in. NIP down to just 2 players trying to hold off any potential pushes coming in. Circle now going over on the northern side. That's fortunate. For G2, they're sitting pretty well in it. And all these teams, I mean, this just becomes a fiesta of teams trying to run down the hill and getting shot at while running. Because there's so little to no cover in this entire area. It really is not an easy place to play from whatsoever. FaZe down the hill, they get killed. Liquid down the hill, they get killed. Red Diamonds down the hill, they get killed. NBS tries to make the run off. Now he actually gets the circle back towards him, but he goes down. Raise your edge, still 3 guys up. They have a chance to make something here. And they're just chilling in the compound. Well, compound is like 1 or 2 shack buildings. Everyone's fighting on the edge. Raise your edge, they have to go up and force a fight, and they take the win. Good positioning, late game by them. They had the 1, 2, 3 circles hard shift up in their direction. And yeah, they got themselves the win. Late game hard shift to one team equals wins, at least on Miramar. It's always how it is, unfortunately. But that's just the map for you. Oops. That was game number 3. Game number 4. Hard shifts. Ugh. Yeah, exactly. We don't like them. But then again, I mean, if we knew that always some part of the center had to be in, then it would be boring. Then everybody would just be fighting for center spots all the time. That wouldn't make any sense either. Going over to Miramar, just give me 1 second. I just have to read something really quickly. Okay. So let's see here. Raise your edge. Jumping out. Any surprises? Boom. Let me see, guys. Tell me in the chat. Are there any of these guys that are dropping places that they haven't dropped normally? If you have watched these games, if you have watched my videos, you will know. We're all in this together. This is the first homework assignment of the day. Pub quiz. Coming in. Does any team locate themselves right now in a place that we haven't seen them before? 3, 2, 1. The answer is yes. No, NIP, they have been east. NIP has been out here a few times before when they don't get the George Plains. They have kicked out Knights from the PUBG. But there is one team that is in a spot that we haven't seen them go to a whole lot very often. You guys can tell me which one it is. We haven't seen them there that many times before. I can only recall having seen them there twice throughout the entire season, and that's because they had more room to work with than they do now. So what team is it? Which team is not in a place that they're supposed to be? And you guys can write your comments in the YouTube video as well. I'm so bad at promoting the YouTube stuff when I'm sitting and doing this live. Which team is not in the spot where they normally go? Ding, 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 ding. Crash wins. We have not seen Navi go Novo very often. Yeah, it's happened twice. The only time we've seen it before was when they were looting military anyway. And they had 2 guys here and 2 guys Novo. Raise your edge, they were looting North George, but then Navi kicked them out of there. And Navi started going North George. But this plane, I mean, you saw the plane coming in. Not exactly the most optimal North George plane. So no, we haven't really seen Navi go go Novo exclusively. They've taken Novo as well when they looted military, but haven't seen them haven't seen them going there really. That's interesting. That's interesting. Keep that in mind. Not that it is probably going to impact a whole lot, but it's a good info to have nonetheless. James rotating out by himself, trying to find somewhere to go. Gets himself a place to go as well. Now the remaining players in Liquid come up to join him from the shelter spot. We'll just slow it down a bit so we don't miss anything. Of course, we cannot catch everything, but try and catch as much as we can. Navi, they made their way over from military. TSM, they made their way up. And this is interesting. This is where we talked about how TSM oftentimes have a really hard time getting good positions in these eastern circles, despite them looting in Milta. They had the win in game 1, sure. But off of that, you can see already now they're on the far bottom. And of course, this circle shifted away from them. But they're on the far bottom. When you go back and look at it, right? Look at playing out, boom, like this. TSM, they loot up in Milta. And they have a chance, I mean, if they loot fast enough, to move north. They know no one loots up here. Sure, G2 could try and go up and keep them off. But I mean, that's probably not going to happen. And they know that Knights will be up here, but they also know that Knights are split very thin, like normally 1-1-1-1, or maybe 2 guys are together, but that's rare to see. But they never really, I mean, I'm always just, oh, sorry for yawning. I'm always just surprised that they never go to take a more center position early on when they have these eastern circles. It could be one of those things in the back of your head there, oh, we've had so many end games around Lumber Mill that the circle is supposed to go back here at some point, but we don't really see it happen. Vitality, they go up to take the compound. M19 is just on the other side. They'll leave again and go back up to yellows. Base go up to take Lumber Mill. And by committing Lumber Mill early on, you can see that's what they're doing. By committing Lumber Mill early on, you just exclude like the chance to rotate out from there, the chance to get something better. It just becomes extremely tough, extremely early on in the game. But let's see here. Circles coming closing on in. Windstrike, they always go north, so nothing surprising there whatsoever. Crow Crowd, they're coming down towards the yellow houses. Circle pops. Boom, we go up north. And as you can see, everybody making their way on up. And now TSM, that's where they've normally fallen off. Down and around here in Alamo, warehouse splits or in the fields and stuff. And there's just nothing to take. At this point, I mean, unless if they get a south hard shift, there's not a whole lot for TSM to do. Other than potentially, as we can see here, crashing into the forest. Circle goes west. We've seen these circles many times before. Face, they're sitting in yellows. They haven't got a chance to scout, so they're just going to send it. Full speed forward. Try to go up to the dip. One went up. Liquid came up as well. They pulled up together. Get them thrown off. They're forced to go up with vehicles over by the hillside there. TSM sitting far down south, trying to hold off red diamonds. Navi, they have a really good spot in a Vitality. Have a really good spot somewhat center. They try to force out Liquid. Smart positioning by them. And Circle now send us up once more. What do you do if you're Liquid here? You probably just stick around. And if you're TSM, you gotta crash something, right? You gotta commit to something. 4 guys in there. 2 guys. If they realize that it's only 2 players, yes, and they do. Smart pull up. Smart play by TSM. Gustav tries to make the run in. Does he get rest? Seems like it. Great play there. I'm just following TSM right now because they have a rough game. I mean, it's not that interesting to watch NIP just sit and sit and sit inside of inside of heaven, right? I'm just trying to look at some of the teams that have a somewhat rougher position to play from. I cannot recall how many times I've seen G2 play from this spot. It's absurd. They always end up out there. Yemti dead center all by himself. He has like a little dip to prone in right there. Did Navi just take them out 2v4? Holy cow, they did. Okay, so Face and Digital charms in. Okay, there were 3 teams shooting at them. Makes sense then. 3 teams were shooting down towards them, but holy cow. They got lucky. And then they go down. Unfortunate. Vitality, they have a really good spot on the west side they can rotate up to. They can still play from the dip up here, so they should be alright. NIP, they've been chilling up in heaven for a while. Sure, they got some circles towards them, but now they're forced to make a move on out. Digital, make the run on up. Only one guy alive. And this is, I mean, honestly, this is G2's bread and butter area. To me, this is where G2 is the strongest in this area of the map. 3 or more endings in this area. Yeah, I know. And G2 wins pretty much all of them. Not all of them, but they do well. They just play extremely well in this area of the map. I don't know why. I've been killed, and face it, I've been killed like 5 times by G2 players in and around the fields around the warehouse and stuff like that. They always go there. Always. And they play so well from there. It's like in Counter-Strike, right? Where you have your favorite map. But of course, these maps are so much bigger. So you have like your favorite area of the map. NIP, good position. Digital as well, sitting pretty well in it. Chris just has to crawl in and hide it and let the other teams fight. But nope, he gets spotted by Iroh. 3v3 now. It's as fair as can be. 1 down, 2 down. Boom, Vard by himself goes down 2. Holy cow, great fought. Well fought by Digital. Is this their first win? Digital has 1 more win, right? Previous. I'm trying to think back. It's a second win. Okay, yeah, second win. Okay, yeah, I was thinking they had 1 more at least. Yeah. Okay. Does that mean then, have we hit the point? Because I had a bet with a friend on how many teams were gonna get wins in this. Hey, Pandix. GG's not too long ago, this weekend. If you're the same Pandix, I would assume that you're the same Pandix that was playing in the global in the Nations Royale. I'm trying to think. Is there a team so far that doesn't have a win? ENCE, obviously, yes. M19, have they won a game? I'm pretty sure they have. Crow Crowd, they have won. Navi, they have won. Red Diamonds have won. Ratio Edge, yes. Base has won. Jokers? Do they have a win yet? I think Jokers might not have had a win yet, actually. I'm not sure. Trying to think back. It's a lot of games to think through. Hey, Carrie Borges, thank you so much, man. It's much appreciated. Much appreciated. Jokers don't have a win yet. Okay, so they must be one of the only teams then, right? I feel like everyone else has at least 1 win so far. Maybe Jokers and M19. I'm pretty sure M19 has a win. Huh. In any case, doesn't matter. Let's get into game number 5 of the day. Red Diamonds down south. So wait, is this the same game as before? No, it's just a similar plane. Okay. I was like, but it isn't the same. Guys, any changes? Let's see. Let's see if we get any changes here. Western Circle, of course, this time around. Changes up things a little bit. Navi back down in Novo. And no. Maybe. Do we have any changes here, guys? Nianfo, you're too fast. Yep, exactly. Digital, they are out on the west coast. I mean, we have seen them here before. For the planes that don't favor Rostock. It's pretty smart for them to do it the way they do. Look at how absurdly far down south this plane is, right? It's going something like this. And if you have to go Rostock, you have to fly over so many other teams. And you can't even fly that far because your parachute will pop over potato. So you have to either fight for vehicles or pop your parachute early, and then when you're flying over school and apps, you're just gonna be in a rough position. So smart plays coming out from Digital. athletics and saying, you know what, there's no reason at all for us to try and take a fight down here. They get the circle, so I guess that's all good fun. Wind strike in the center of a circle. What? Jokers, they're down south. They'll get their rotation going. Everyone's trying to get in. And of course, what we love about this area is the fact that, let's just draw them all up real quick. All right. There. How far up does this go? This would be around here, right? Yeah. There. This goes further up. I would say up to here, maybe. I'm just drawing real quick. Don't mind me. There. Probably do like more like this, honestly. And with, of course, the exception of Gatka and these houses. But if we exclude, oops, no. If we just limit this real quick, these are, like, you want to go center, right? We talked about how you want to go center. These are the areas of the map that are open fields that you cannot play from early game. Look at how much space that takes up. We keep talking about how you want to go center. There's the, yeah, exactly what Hayes just said. There is no relegation in phase 1. It's not going to be until after phase 2. Top 4 for Face It, and then there is the kickoff event between contenders teams and PL teams. So you can see it right here. This entire area of the map, we want to go center, right? These are unplayable sort of terrains, and you can see how look at this. I mean, it's pretty perfectly drawn up. Everything that is marked in orange is like a nope area to sit in. You can see how teams position yourself accordingly, right? So when you talk about wanting to be center in circle 1, this is not what you normally see. This is not at all what you normally see. And this also forces so many more teams to be out on the east side of the circle. Now, circle does go back east, fortunately, but it is going to force some of these teams into Pachinki, because what do you really have to play from around here? You have the 2 hilltops and some compounds, but again, you still have the big fields, open area. Sure, you can sit in the forest down there, but still fields around Yasunaya. This was actually a pretty well drawn outline, considering how fast I just drew it. Kudos to me. Fields again out here. I mean, it's a rough, hate this area to fight in, at least. Or late game. Some people like late games around Pachinki. Most people I've talked to don't. What is your take on it, Hayes? I know you guys have Pachinki Hill right now, but how do you like them Pachinki endings? Not inside the city, but just anywhere that's around it. As a coach, that is, not as a player. We got one team that made it to PCL from South Africa. It's gonna be tough for them. Well, we'll see. They're gonna have themselves a really good ping, that's for sure. Playing on EU servers from South Africa. Huh. That's gonna be a yikes. Circle goes back in, and again, of course, open field. Don't want to go there, and you can go down into the warehouse or to the barn, but it's gonna be tricky place to get out of should the circle leave there. So that's an option. Anything else available at this point? You can go far out west, but how are you gonna check it? Because the only teams that don't really have a spot so far. Should Jokers? I mean, if Jokers play this one well, they could scout up there as well. You can see that from there. If you can get the eyes through the trees, like there's a couple of trees over here by the shack that could obscure the vision. Navi can stick around. What do you do here if you're knights? Of course you try and scout up, but you've seen Navi. Do you then take the fight to them, or do you try and rotate north around? Because you cannot rotate anywhere around them, because then they're just gonna shoot you. That's too risky. Hey, Catastic, long time no see, man. I don't know why I'm talking like this, but hey, buddy. I'm pretty sure, honestly. Now we don't know exactly what Contenders Phase 2 is gonna look like, but I want to say that in the relegation match there will be at least 2 contenders teams taking 2 spots from Pro League. So at least 2 of the 4 of the bottom teams in the Pro League will go down to contenders. That's my bet. Okay, so they do drive through. They actually just swap places pretty much. Interesting. Kramer goes down to scout. He's like, guys, there's nothing to take down here. They go over straight into Jokers. That's going to be tough. Yeah, I can come up with 2 teams right now that I think could take some spots. But we'll see. We'll see. A lot of things can happen. It's not going to be for another, what, 2 months. So, if not even more than that. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, that's the issue, right? Because you can have one team that can just look really good based on the lobby they're in. Like, not saying that they're better than the teams that are in the lobby, just that the lobby fits their playstyle more with where teams drop and how teams rotate. But there are teams like Unity, Sogden, Nam, Reciprocity as well. They had their good going there. There's just some teams that have had their moments where, oh my god, these teams are scary. But then again, I mean, you could argue that they're performing well against worse teams. So is it going to be the same when you get into the Pro League? Probably not. But we'll see. I mean, there are some teams for sure in the contenders right now that can rattle up and sort of disturb a lobby in Pro League. That's for sure. Tons of fighting up here. We knew it was gonna happen. Circle goes down south. And Windstrike! How do they do it every single game? It makes no sense to me. How do Windstrike continue to get these circles? I've done analysis of all 40 games played so far. I want to go back and see. Okay. I want to go back and see. It's going to take me a lot of time, and I'm probably not going to do it, but I really would want to go back and see how many games Windstrike has had a center circle compound in circle 5 or 6. It's actually insane. Sure, there are. I mean, you can argue they're sitting center enough already. I mean, look at this. Look at the size of the circle, right? And then put it anywhere. Like, put this circle size anywhere. And pretty much, unless okay, so if it hard shifted over to Pachinki, then they would be a little out. But pretty much no matter where else you would take it, they would be in. I mean, they do smart rotations. I've complimented them. I've tried to go in depth with some of the rotations as well before. They do really smart rotations, but it's just crazy. It's just crazy how they find themselves in these spots all the time. It's very impressive. I mean, because we're reaching a point at which it cannot just be coincidence anymore, right? Once again, they're in, but again, they would have to hard shift south for them not to be. So they're just going to chill around, let everyone else fight. And that's the issue. That is the issue for them to. And that's why I think we see them get these circles and not be higher than 10th place overall. That actually could be the explanation. The thing is, they get these center compounds that no one can contest. Look at this. At this point, everyone has left their vehicles. The only teams with vehicles still are Ratio Edge because they're far out on the side. And then maybe FaZe. But they were running, no, probably not FaZe actually. The only team at this point that has vehicles would be Ratio Edge. And they don't contest the compound. Especially not if they're getting knocks on G2. So who can Windstrike really shoot at from this spot? Nobody. Which means they'll be coming into the late games with maybe 1, maybe 2 kills when they get like the final couple of circles. And that's all good. That's all good because you will have 4 guys alive, most likely. You will have helmet and vest undamaged. And you will have plenty of smokes and nades and all that stuff to set yourself up for a good late game fight. Issue being then that maybe Windstrike just ain't as solid fraggers as some of the teams they go up against in the late game. And there is a thing about the whole getting cold, where you haven't fought for an entire game and then you're going up against guys that has 10 kills already and have been shooting their way through the entire match so far. And as you can see here, I mean, they're just doing small taps here and there, small taps here and there. And then when they get out into a fight, because the point system is as ruthless as it is, if they don't win the game, then they might only get like 4 points in placements. And then if they only have 1 kill and they're up against a team that won the game with 10 kills, then they just don't get that many points in the overall kind of grand scheme of things. Well, yeah, of course you should win the game. You should always win the game. But like now, for example, like now they get themselves into late game, but now they lost Jorski. Now Nuki goes down, and now Tixi goes down as well. So they get third place. They get third place, which is third place, which is 5 points. And that's really good, because the placement points are really important. But how many kills do they get with that? I'm not sure they had any, but we can go back and look afterwards. I'm not sure exactly how many kills they had this game. Whereas to the other teams around them, I mean, G2, they've been fragging. Ratio Edge kind of doing the same thing as Winstrike, so they don't really have a lot of kills either. Jokers, they've been fighting all the way down south, a ton of kills for them, and same thing happening for FaZe. So it's one of those things where even though you get late game, if you can't get the wins, then you ain't gonna get enough points accumulated. And it's gonna look bad, because everybody's like, oh, as I said before, oh, Winstrike, they're always late game. How are they 10th place? Well, I mean, that's this point system for you. You can take a look right here. Let's see. Teams. Winstrike. 0 kills. They only got 5 points. They only got 5 points that game in total. They didn't have a single kill. Because they had the placements, right? I mean, they did 900 damage, so it's not that they weren't shooting. It's just from the position they were in, they couldn't get any flushes. They couldn't finish off anyone. They haven't traveled that far, as you can see. They only traveled 8 kilometers on average, where everyone else was running around the entire game. 26 kilometers travel for Ratio Edge, 25 kilometers for FaZe. It's pretty interesting statistic to keep track of. Like, they don't travel that far, and they have 0 kills, which means that even Ens, who got out early... Oh no, that's points total here. Okay. So, yeah, it's just, I mean, it's pretty interesting. FaZe got 12 kills and a win. They get 4 times... They finished only they finished only 2 placements better than them, and they get 4 times the points that Winstrike does. That is interesting. That is interesting. But that is going to also cut it for the analysis bit for today, guys. So I want to say thank you so much all for tuning in, and I hope to see you in the next video.